Phoebe sat up straight to look at Carter's house. A crunchy gravel drive led to a long, low-white 1960s bungalow ahead, with slim-roofed verandas on thin metal poles. The full headlights lit the entrance, which blended well into the natural landscape with large palms, ferns, Honolulu creepers, and red vines dangling like ruby necklaces from the eaves. She instantly fell in love with it. She heard the occasional whoop of birds and the loud hum of cicadas and insects. She drew parallels with movies from the Hitchcock or Peter Sellers era. As the driver got out of the cab to give her a hand with the luggage, she started to feel better about the first night without Carter, despite a few niggling questions. Would she be able to find everything? Was there food? What would she do with Jojo all day while waiting for Carter to arrive? She got the keys out of her handbag and tried them until she found two that not only fitted but turned. There was no fob, keycard, alarm system, or electronic security. They were literally keys. Inside, Phoebe snapped on all the lights. They were the old kind of light switches with no dimmers. She got used to the 60s vibe instantly and was comfortable. Vintage and welcoming. It was what a second home should be. The cab driver moved the luggage into the hall while she carried Jojo. She passed a grey wicker couch. She was going to lay Jojo on it, but instead she carried her into one of the bedrooms with twin beds and put her down on one of them. Making her way back to the hall, Phoebe silently worked out what to pay Ted. He had been a big help. But the tip must be wrong because the cab driver's face went stony. He left quickly. She shook her head, irked that she still had a calculation wrong after overthinking. Too late now. Everything in sight was old but understated and mostly made of wood. She saw her reflection in the dark glass of the large sliding patio doors. On the living room's little wicker tables, seashells, conches, and half pieces of driftwood were casually grouped and arranged on ceramic dishes. At about 12:30 in the morning, she'd settle herself into the bed in the same room as Jojo. She texted Carter. All okay. Good night. She was too tired to punctuate and immediately fell into a deep sleep. Phoebe was awakened by a sensation of a cold, wet spray on her skin, a blast of cold wind and explosive claps. She willed her eyes to open. They would not at first. When they did, she looked around, disoriented, having forgotten where on earth she was. The darkness outside was framed by trembling tall palms. It must be just before dawn, as there was a slit of light on the horizon. Stung by the gradual sense of being splashed wide awake by the cold rain, Phoebe tried to crawl out of bed. She remembered she was in the United States of America, in a place called Key West, Florida. She had experienced these tropical thunderstorms as a child when she travelled to Malaysia with her parents year after year for the annual summer holidays. She staggered like a drunk to shut the bedroom's French windows. They were flapping and banging, hence the explosive sound she had heard. Both pairs were open. She could have sworn that she had locked and shut all the doors and windows before going to bed. Otherwise, she would not have turned the air conditioner on. These rules had been drilled into her skull since childhood. Her Malaysian family visits had taught her that if doors and windows were open, the air conditioner would be off. This was a waste. That was a waste. All her habits were her mother's and centred around one thing: thriftiness. Hardly unsurprising, as she was middle-aged and was turning into a mother. She was resigned to the transformation since frugality was a virtue. She also stood to gain her mother's bad habits, such as her suspicious nature. Genetics always called the last shot. She switched on all the lights and looked over to the other bed. Relief blanketed her when she saw Jojo fast asleep.